Shalom, call Halayim La Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Racha Kodash, double honors unto our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Much peace and blessings to all you sincere Akim out there that's pushing this 100% truth with all sincerity, faith, and with charity. This is your brother Ash from the Great Millstone Miami camp, coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying unto the elect. It's just going to be a quick lesson going into how we are to praise the Lord in all situations, and whatever circumstance or situation we find ourselves in at the moment shouldn't dictate whether or not or how much we praise the Lord, which is easier said than done, but it's something that must be worked on, okay? Because as we know, we are in the flesh, corruptible flesh, very corrupt flesh, and we are bound and subject, as it says in Romans, the 8th chapter, how the Lord created the creature subject to vanity. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's just get it. Okay, this is the book of Romans, chapter 8, and verse. As a matter of fact, let me start up. Okay, Romans 8 and 4. I start at 3. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, the Most High sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh. Okay, so as it is written in the book of Psalms, the Lord remembereth, or the Lord knoweth our frame, and that we are but dust. The Lord knows what to expect out of his creation. The Lord knows what he put us in, and he knows what he put in us. Speaking about this corruptible flesh, this corrupted flesh, these bodies that we're in, that are subject to the elements, subject to our environment, subject to decay and physical and spiritual oxidation, right? Like you cut an apple and it's white in the inside, or any fruit, and it's one color on the inside, but if you cut it open and leave it out in the elements, it will oxidize, it will turn brown, because the oxygen in the air starts to break down the matter. Or like when iron is left, pure iron is left out in the rain and near a beach, or like saltwater air, the oxygen in the water and the air will rust out that iron. It will oxidize that iron. So we, in similar fashion, can become oxidized by the elements of this world, the sin and the lust that is surrounding us. Especially if you live in a hustling, bustling city full of corruption, idolatry, and adultery. Although we have the spirit of Yahweh Bashmiel Shai in us, we can't necessarily extract ourselves from these environments, okay? Brothers move with wisdom. We move through the spirit to the best of our ability to stay out of certain situations we know are toxic towards us, but at the end of the day, we have to remain here until our salvation comes. Lord willing, we be of that number. As Yahushua prayed to the Father, I believe that's in John, the 17th chapter. He said, Father, I pray that ye remove them not from the world, but to keep them from the evil. So we have to remain here. Lord willing, we don't stay here too long to the point where we can't endure. But we have to endure for however long we have to be here. So our world, this that we currently live in, plays on our flesh. We have ups, we have downs, we have spiritual highs and spiritual lows. And Satan, the spiritual demon Satan and his demons want us to focus on the affairs of this world and focus on the things pertaining to the flesh, which again we are subject to. So it's a fight. It's a spiritual fight that never ends. But Yahushua walked in this same flesh, the Son of the Most High God, not the Most High God himself, which Christians will try to tell you the Son and the Father are the same entity, and that is not true at all. The Bible never says that. Okay, the Son and the Father, Yahweh and Yahushua, which are their true Hebrew names, are two separate entities. And without knowing that, you can't get a proper understanding of the scriptures. Once you know that there are two separate entities, it all starts to make more sense. It makes sense that his elect, his chosen, would be modeled after him. They would walk a very similar life. And if he passed the test, because this life is a test, if he endured his mission, then so can we through his help. Okay, if the one the world ignorantly calls JC was the Most High God himself, then it would be no miracle really for the Lord to do the things that he did. Okay? The reason why his walk on earth, the miracles he did, the temptations he endured were so significant is because he was a man like we are, which gives us hope and confidence that we can do what he did. And again, he walked in this same sinful flesh, and he conquered it. So he condemned sin in the flesh. Verse 4, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. Okay? So we walk after the Spirit, not after the flesh. Although we're in the flesh and are subject to the flesh, and we are subject to the things that come along with this flesh, we don't move after the flesh. We fight against the flesh. Okay, verse 5, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Okay? So we mind the things of the Spirit. Our perspective on life is different from that of a natural man. A natural man can only see, or he can only experience that which he sees with his physical eyes, his physical ears, his physical hands, and nothing more. So when they get brought into negative situations, unfavorable scenarios, they have nothing to hope for. They have nothing to discern spiritually. So again, when bad things happen, it's just bad to them. It's just all bad. They don't have the ability, the spiritual ability, to look past their current situation and acknowledge that the Lord is working in their favor. See, us in the spirit that walk after the spirit, we can be brought into unfavorable scenarios. We can be brought into seemingly bad situations, and anyone else in the world can be defeated. They can be disenchanted with life. They can become depressed, even suicidal. But those of us that walk after the spirit and not after the flesh, we have the ability to acknowledge that all things work together for our good, as it says down here. Okay. Before I get that though, verse 20, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope. Because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High. Okay, in the NLT it says, for all creation is waiting eagerly for that future day when God will reveal who his children really are. That's the day we're coming into. Against its will, all creation was subjected to God's curse. So we are subject to God's curse. This world that we live in is cursed. Life is not supposed to be depressing. Life is not supposed to be hard. You're not supposed to go to work. Okay? Life was, this world was created to be a paradise. Life was supposed to be fun all the time. But because of the sin of Adam, his transgression, sin and death entered into the world. The curse went into the world. So now we have to struggle. Now we have to suffer. And there's no getting around it. There's no escaping it. But with eager hope, the creation looks forward to the day when it will join God's children in glorious freedom from death and decay. You see, death and decay was that oxidation. All right. So we hope for a day where there will be no more decay and death. So even through the death and decay, we can still praise Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay, I meant to read this at first, but you have this image, right? It says Paul and Silas were in, this image inspired this lesson. It says Paul and Silas were in jail, but they still worship God. Worship isn't about your circumstances, it's about who God is. And this is on point. Of course, they got them looking like Edomites. But we know the story of Paul and Silas. how they praised the Lord even in prison. Even Peter and the other apostles, when they were locked up, they praised the Lord in prison and counted it a honor to be able to suffer for Hamashiach's sake. And that same mindset can be and is to be applied to all aspects of our lives. Different situations we find ourselves in shouldn't change whether or not we worship Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai. And in fact, when we find ourselves in negative situations, that's a time to praise the Lord even more. Why? Because jumping down to verse 28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Most High, to them who are the called according to his purpose. Okay, I like the NLT. It says, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love the Most High and are called according to his purpose for them. So when you know and understand this, you're able to worship Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai. You're able to praise Yahweh Bashmi Al-Shai in any circumstance. This is how you win. This is how we win. Through this mindset. Okay, the same way how these U.S. soldiers are already defeated because they have a low morale. They don't have any real trust and hope in their government. So they're already defeated in their minds. We have trust in our government. We have trust in our power, Yahweh Basham Yahushai. So we know and understand that our fight is a righteous fight. It's a fight, a hard fight, but it's a good fight. As the Apostle Paul said, what? Fight the good fight of faith. Okay? So we have already won if we have and maintain this mindset that whatever happens to you is for your good. If you truly believe that, if you truly have that mindset, which has to be cultivated, you can't flip a switch and have this mindset. It's something that you have to read out of the scriptures first and foremost, and know that that is a mindset that actually exists. Most people on the earth have never heard of this concept. Again, the natural man, the carnal man, is his mind is after the things of the flesh. So they can't begin to understand that bad things can work out for your good. That's not something that's taught in this world. That is a spiritual way of thinking. And it's extremely beneficial and also needed. It's necessary in order for us to win this battle, to win this fight, because in the future, the Lord is going to put us in situations that are unfavorable, that are unfair, that is not right. It's not going to feel right. Let me say that. It's not going to feel good. You're going to feel like you have been done wrong. The flesh is going to want to say, this is too much. I didn't sign up for this. Why is this happening to me? Okay, but if you're of the elect, the Lord is just trying your faith. He's just trying your belief in him. Even though he already knows who his elect is, he wants to make it manifest to the world. And how is he going to do that? By putting us in these different situations to see if we're still going to worship him. Okay? Because those that aren't in this truth, when Jacob's trouble really starts hitting, our people are not going to be praising the Lord. They're going to be cursing the Lord. Even right now, certain things happen to Jake, and they curse the Most High. Because they think the Most High is only supposed to do good. When Job said, shall we not receive good at the hand of the Lord and not evil? Are we not sinners, first and foremost, that deserve death? Again, the world doesn't think that way. But if you're spiritual and you believe and know that all things work together for your good, what difference does it make what situation you're in? It doesn't make any difference. The outcome is the same. Worship Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Fear Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Praise Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Believe in Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Okay? So I'll end off with this. This is book of Philippians chapter 4 and verse 11. I'll start at 10. But I rejoiced in the Lord greatly, that now at the last your care of me hath flourished again, wherein ye were also careful, but ye lacked opportunity. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am therewith to be content. I know both how to be abased, and I know how to abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed, both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Hamashiach, which strengtheneth me. Okay, the NLT says, how I praise the Lord that you are concerned about me again. I know you have always been concerned for me, but you didn't have the chance to help me. Not that I was ever in need, for I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I have learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little. For I can do everything through Hamashiach who gives me strength. You see that? That is the mindset. That is the winning mindset. But what did the Apostle Paul say? He says, for I have learned. That's the key. For I have learned. This is something that has to be read in the scriptures. This is something the Lord has to reveal to you. Then you have to learn it by application, through experience, through trial and error, by the Lord putting you in different situations that other people may fold in. But you don't fold. You are bold. Other situation, people are folding, but you become emboldened. Okay? He says, I have learned the secret of living in every situation. You see that? This is a secret way of thinking. This is not something that's known to the world. This is a golden nugget. This is hidden treasure. This is the key, one of the keys to life. So the physical life that you're living right now has no bounds on your faith. Faith is purely spiritual. It has nothing to do with what car you drive, what house you're living in, your state of health, your relationship situation, your job situation. None of those things have bearing or should have bearing on your faith, because your faith is not dependent on this physical world. Okay, again, this is something that we have to learn. This is something that we have to cultivate, because again, in the future, it's going to be put to the test. All right. So that's pretty much it. That's just something I wanted to bring out through the spirit. Lord willing, it was edifying. With that, I'm going to say shalom.